Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we are sitting in Green Bay, Wisconsin for this next episode of the Runways Raceways series Flight Edition. Today we are American Eagle 4450 making our way down to Indianapolis to get ready for the next big race. And today we are looking at partly cloudy skies for our departure out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and smooth ride pretty much all the way down to Indianapolis. We're looking at a flight time of 55 minutes, block time of an hour and 23 minutes from gate to gate, and we are going to be carrying with us just under 10,000 pounds of fuel and a total of 79 passengers. And within that 79 passengers will be our racer, who had a tough go at it here at the racetrack in Wisconsin, but we are hoping for better results down in Indy here for the next couple races. So we're going to be getting ready to push back out of here very soon. We're just getting the last little things in order here, and we will be on our way down to Indianapolis. For today's flight, we will be featuring the Say Intentions AI. We're actually going to be using that for the departure part and the middle part of the flight, which will be mostly just intermission music, so you guys won't be hearing much of that, and then a little bit on our arrival. Now, I will say here right up front that we did not use Say Intentions AI coming into Indianapolis. I'll just say that right up front because it was not giving us real-world weather readback, meaning the runway that it wanted us to land on was not matching the real world weather. So for our safety and the safety of our racer, we landed on the correct runway, and you're going to see that in this video that all of a sudden that the ATC audio will cease to exist. On that note, I have been using Say Intentions on every single flight that I've been doing over the last 2 months. Overall, it's been a great experience, and if you are interested in hearing more about my thoughts on that, I did recently just release a Say Intentions review video here on the channel. So feel free to check that out, and feel free to leave a comment on your own experiences or any questions that you may have. Alright, so here we are up in the cockpit. We're going to go over here to the EFB. We're going to go ahead and get our forward door closed. We will go ahead and call the jetway away. Passengers are on board, luggage is on board, and we are ready, ladies and gentlemen, to be pushed back from the gate in this CRJ-900. We're going to go up top here. We're going to go to better pushback. We will go ahead and request our pushback, and we'll wait for the tug to arrive. Now, this Delta-wings CRJ in Xplane 12, it has been just really a fun plane to fly. Now, I know that it's nothing like the Aerosoft CRJ that you find in Microsoft, and I know the system depth, especially the CFB, is not very in-depth. However, I have a lot of fun flying it. I think this plane handles extremely well in hand flying. I do have one issue with this plane when sometimes when I'm going through my startup procedures, my hydraulics will all read that they have that 3,000 PSI or more and should be operational, but yet I have no flight controls. So I actually was flying this the other day, and I had to do a couple of restarts of Xplane 12 for it to actually turn over and start working for me. And on this flight here, I actually did not have any of those issues. So it's just kind of like hit or miss. But I'm telling you, like, this is a really fun plane to fly, and it's only like 30-40 bucks on the website. So if it's a plane that you're kind of interested in picking up, it's definitely worth it. And it's easy on frames too, because there's not much in depth about it. So that's really nice. It's great plane for those of you who may be running on older systems and just want to fly something different, right? So highly recommend it, but just know that with that there are still a little bit of bugs. But even with that, they are still updating it, so it may not be frequent updates, but they did, I think last April, I want to say they went through and did an update on some of the flight models, so it's been good to see. So alright, so we're gonna go ahead and just in a moment here get pushed back. There we go. And with that, we are going to be in just a moment here starting up our engine number 1. So we'll go up top, and we will go ahead and let the engine start spooling. And when we reach 25%, we're going to go down here.
You'll notice a light illuminated above your seat.
And we'll go ahead and introduce the fuel to engine number 2.
To fasten, insert the metal fittings into one another and tighten by pulling on the loose end of the strap. To release your seatbelt, lift the upper portion of the buckle. We suggest that you keep your seatbelt fastened throughout the flight as you may experience unexpected turbulence. There are several emergency exits on this aircraft. To familiarize yourself with the emergency exits on this aircraft, please refer to the safety card in the seat back pocket in front of you. In some cases, your nearest exit might be behind you. If we need to evacuate the aircraft, there is lighting on the floor to guide you towards the exit. In the event of a loss of cabin pressure, an oxygen mask will drop in front of you. Start the flow of oxygen.
Alright, back up top, we're going to go ahead and get number 1 spooled up. Let that N1 start to rise, and once it reaches that 25%, we'll introduce the fuel. This plane also does have a sound pack. I'm actually running the Mango Studio sound pack for this CRJ-900. I think it does a great job in adding just better sounds and everything. I actually think the default sounds on this plane are fantastic as well. I don't know if that's a real popular opinion by others who fly this plane, but I have to say that the Mango Studio sound pack is great, but I really didn't notice as much of a difference using this sound pack from the original, and I think that just speaks to the original sound. So even if you do pick up this plane, the sounds that come with it are really just spot on. They sound fantastic, especially if you go to the wing views and those engines, you know, on the back of the plane, they have that unique sound, that unique rumble. You can kind of hear it, you know, right now, and like the flaps, and just look at the wing textures too. Like, I'm just really impressed by the modeling in this plane. The cabin also, the tray tables drop down, the no smoking signs, seatbelt signs, they illuminate. So for a plane that really, for a lot of, you know, compared to other planes, really is bare bones, it really does have a lot. It really does offer you a lot of Easter eggs. I think it even has a flushable toilet, which we all know in the Flightsim community that if a plane has a flushable toilet, the sim community usually loves it. So it's a plane that I've really enjoyed flying, and probably always will throughout my Xplane time. Alright, so we are going to be taxiing over to runway 36 for departure today. We're planning to land on 05 left. That's exactly where we will be landing in Indianapolis. Winds are going to be calm, which is great. We're going to go back up top here. We're going to get the APU turned off, let that spool down as we make our way over to the runway. And not a very long taxi over to our runway this morning out of Green Bay. Not a very big airport. But yeah, so the flight model of this plane is really just kind of what surprises me the most, in how great it feels, how well this plane hand flies. And you get that feel for that right away when you take off and, you know, you're vectoring around, right? But really where it shines is on landing. So landing into any airport where you have to, you know, take control, you know, obviously you're going to be hand flying any airplane in, right? It's not just this one, but this one here really does a really great job in responding to your yoke, responding to your whatever peripheral you're using, and you just feel very in control of the plane. So whether it's accurate to the real life, you know, and does it feel like the real life, you know, who knows, right? I'm not going to know that from sitting here at a computer desk, but just in comparison to other planes that I fly, even like the Zebo, for example, this plane just hand flies really, really well. So very happy with it. And like I said, it is bare bones. However, it does require you to know the startup procedures. So in a CRJ, to my understanding, is that your hydraulics always are only turned on once you have your engine spooled up. If you turn your hydraulics on up here up top, before your engines have spooled up, it's not going to work properly. You're not going to be able to get the flight controls and everything to work properly. So whether that's how it is in real world or not, I obviously, like I said, I don't know. I'm not a trained CRJ pilot, but it does seem to follow basically the real world checklist. And I really appreciate that, right? If it's a plane that has you know, kind of a bare-boned, you know, writing to it, right? It's not very in-depth. It's not like the Flight Factor 777, you know, things like that. At least you still get what's really important, right? You get great sound, you get great textures, and you get great, you know, hand flying, and that's really, if you can nail those three things as a developer, I think it's a great starting point for you to make a case for yourself within the community to push your product out there.
Over to approach Scott 78729 on.
Back up top, we'll go ahead and turn our runway turn-on lights on and our takeoff lights.
Over to departure, Tree Romeo Delta, see you. Green Bay clearance, Cirrus 3 Romeo Delta would like to pick up our IFR to Milwaukee.
Green Bay Tower, American 4450, ready for departure runway 36.
American 4450, runway 36, winds 350 at 7, fly runway heading, cleared for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, American 4450. Alright, we'll go ahead and advise the cabin. Alright, we'll go ahead and get lined up with the runway, and we'll go ahead and turn the sounds up here for takeoff, and enjoy. turn those sounds back down now as we continue our bank here out of Green Bay as we climb to our flight level of 350 on today's flight. Total route distance today is going to be 354 nautical miles. Total airtime of 55 minutes.
We are now passing through 10,000 feet. You can now turn on your larger portable electronic devices. As a reminder, please keep your seatbelt fastened while you are seated and do not congregate in the galleys or near the lavatory. This aircraft is equipped with onboard Wi-Fi. If you wish to connect to the Wi-Fi, you'll be directed to a page to pay a small fee for internet access. We do offer complimentary in-flight communications to our partners. Connect to the Wi-Fi and you'll be able to access our wide range of free live streaming and paid news library.
With your red striped lips, you will find Mother Lotto with the red hot kiss. Don't mean to impose or kill your buzz, I just wanna get your 10 toes in the Gulf. You can bring your friends and I'll bring mine. We can run the coastline, turn the beach into a track. All I wanna know is how you like that. When it's runways to raceways, airlines to highways, 4 lanes in a fast car, long way from a skypop, taking off like a rocket, touching down like a plane. But we ain't talking about runways, no, we're talking about raceways. You're making me crazy with your black santan. You will find Mother dancing to a steel drum band. The sun's getting low, the tide's rolling in, but you don't gotta worry about where you've been. I'm trying to be the one to get you gone. We can leave tonight and tomorrow turn the beach into a track. All I wanna know is how you like that. When it's runways to raceways, airlines to highways, 4 lanes in a fast car, long way from a skypop, taking off like a rocket, touching down like a plane. But we ain't talking about runways, no, we're talking about raceways. Crazy with your black santan. You will find Mother dancing to a steel drum band. The sun's getting low, the tide's rolling in, but you don't gotta worry about where you've been. I'm trying to be the one to get you gone. We can leave tonight and tomorrow turn the beach into a track. All I wanna know is how you like that. When it's runways to raceways, airlines to highways, 4 lanes in a fast car, long way from a skypop, taking rocket, touching down like a plane. But we ain't talking about runways, no, we're talking about raceways.
Sylvia Dawn, 1 departure, climb and maintain 4,000, expect flight level 330, departure 124.2.
Welcome back, everybody, as we are now well on our way into Indianapolis, just passing 12,000 feet here in just a moment. As you can see, we've got partly cloudy skies, winds are light, visibility 10 miles out in front of us, so very good landing conditions here this morning as we make our way to Kind, and we are going to be landing on runway 05 left. As we make our descent into Indianapolis, you're eventually going to hear the Say Intentions ATC audio stop working. It's not because it stopped working itself, it was because it was giving us landing vectors to the opposite direction in which they were landing in real life. So if you haven't already checked out my review video on Say Intentions, I touch base on this a little bit in that video where you're going to be wanting to fly real world weather and everything, and there are times where, you know, runways change, winds change while you're in flight and all that, and Say Intentions right now just seems to have a hard time keeping up with any changes with real world weather and flight patterns. So just to keep the realism, I decided to just close out Say Intentions and land the way they were really landing here in Indianapolis on this morning, which was runway 05 left. So that's what you're going to see here. And also we just really just did not want to change anything more from the realism factor. We want to be continuing to fly real world vectors, flying routes that are currently happening. So just for the sake of keeping everything as real as possible, we just went ahead and continued landing the way that SimBrief was letting us know they were landing. So for our approach, we are on the JAX 2 arrival. In just a moment, you're going to see the airport straight out ahead of us. We're going to be taking a right, and then a left, and then another left to get us in line with runway 05 left. So those of you who fly the CRJ in the sim, whether it be here in Xplane or over in Microsoft, the CRJ is a very hands-on plane. You definitely have to make sure with no VNAV that you are hitting your waypoints for both your speed and your altitude. So you're just going to see me kind of going back in towards the FMC here, checking our altitude versus our speed, making sure we're hitting our waypoints, and making sure that we are in line for our approach here. Alright, and as we continue to descend, you can start to see the airport right in front of us where my cursor is currently on the screen. Right there, there it is. So we're just going to be making this turn to the right here very shortly, and we'll be vectoring around to runway 05 left. Again, just keeping an eye on my speed versus my altitude, making sure I'm hitting those waypoints accordingly. Okay, so here we are making that turn. Again, keeping an eye on those waypoints. Just passing 6,000 feet or just about. And you can see on our screens with kind of our flight path down there. And we'll just be making our way in here very shortly. We'll go ahead and advise the cabin. Let the flight attendants take their seats. Go back down here and make sure we're good. Like I said, the CRJ is a very hands-on plane. It's with no VNAV. The plane's not going to descend itself. It's not going to make sure it hits those waypoints. This is part of why this plane is so fun to fly. It is very different than any other plane that I fly in my sim, at least. It is a very different plane where it keeps you engaged, and the plane will not fly itself on descent. So it really does test your skills and your knowledge and everything. And it's a great plane to learn if you're new to simming, just due to the fact that it really helps you understand what it is that VNAV is actually doing. So really highly recommend flying the CRJ, whether it's in Microsoft or here in Xplane. It's a great plane to learn from for sure. And out in front of us is our runway of 05 left. And in just a moment I will disengage autopilot, take control of the plane, and we'll fly her on down. Alright, 2,500 feet, we'll go ahead and drop that landing gear. And we'll just disconnect autopilot, and it's my airplane. And we'll see you down on the ground. Alright, so very interesting sequence of events here. I didn't really notice this until I watched the replay back, but when I cut my throttle and my reversers engaged, my throttle in the sim actually went full forward. And I'm not sure why. I've never had that happen before. I do know that this plane has some detents in the throttle in the real world, and it could be that my Thrustmaster throttle, just because it does not have any detents, it kind of confused the plane, but I've never had that happen before. So luckily nothing really bad happened here on landing. We were able to still control the landing just fine. But I did notice that the engine sounds were very different, and so I went back and I watched the replay, and I noticed that when I cut the throttle and engaged the reversers, that the throttle in the sim moved forward, which it should not do. So that's why we got the increased engine sounds there. And interesting that happened, because I've never had that happen before for the many times I've flown this plane. Alright, so we're going to taxi to our gates. The APU can come on, the taxi lights can come on, landing lights can come off. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome down to Indianapolis, the home of the next race in the Runways to Raceways series. Alright, we'll go down here, parking brake can come on. We'll go ahead and turn off engine number 2, engine number 1 to follow. Go back over here to the EFB. Actually, let's go up top here first. We'll go ahead and attach that jetway. And we will open up the forward passenger door. And we'll head up top here. We can go ahead and turn off all of our probes, window heats. Air conditioning come off. We'll turn those seat belts to off. No smoking sign to off. And we are good to go. Alright everybody, that's going to wrap up flight number 5 here after landing down in Indianapolis. And here we will continue the Runways to Raceways series as we're set for 2 more races before we take off to our next destination, which is in Atlanta. We're going to be taking most likely the 737-900 out of Indianapolis to Atlanta, most likely also Delta Airlines, as Delta is a major hub in Atlanta. If you've liked what you saw here today on the channel, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you subscribe, and stay tuned as we're just getting started here in the racing capital of the world. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
On the runways, from runways to raceways, runways to raceways. It's the long way down. If you wanna stick around, no slowing down, no brakes in sight. Put the pedal to the metal. You'll never find the level, and you know it won't take long to see the green light. The green light. Race on the runways, on the runways, on the runways, from runways to raceways. Race on the runways, on the runways, on the runways, from runways to raceways, runways to raceways. You can hear the angels screaming, you can see the tower smiling. Every turn and every chicane, from the paddock to the grandstand, a look you can't explain, but it'll run through your veins. Nothing ever quite the same once you race on the runways. Race on the runways, on the runways, on the runways, from runways to raceways. Race on the runways, on the runways.